Okay, so I want to do this. I've been taking a break from YouTube, but I want to do this. Kind of it doesn't really wrap up everything for the Don brothers. Um, and it was honestly an okay movie. It wasn't the greatest movie. Like it just I don't know. It was okay. It's the new formula. What they do is they do one side gets their own half an hour, the other side gets their own half an hour, and then the last 30 minutes is essentially just like the team up and the fight and whatnot. So I guess we'll start with the weaker side, which was the Zenkaigers side, which did start out the movie. That's probably why they had the Don brothers second, was because the Zenkaigers stuff was really, I I don't know. I was not a big fan of it. I thought the season was okay, but it just I don't know. This okay. So what happened is there's they're hopping around, and this takes place. Now I did not see. Was it not Maji Ranger? What's this? I forget the Sentai before. Kira Major. That's what it is. Kira Major and Zenkaiger had their team up. I think I saw that. I'm trying to remember. They had that one. They had a team up with I don't even remember what the other team up was. They talked about like, hey, like this is what's been going on with them, and now they're going back to their dimension, which literally was what the end of the season was. Is they left their dimension, so now they're going home, presumably for the first time. That's the way they're kind of acting like it's the first time. So to them, they've probably been away for a long time. I guess to everyone else, I guess it at least has been a while because they're under new management on Earth again because Monster of the Week this was the weird thing too. And maybe I just haven't seen a special or something, but there's a new bad guy team, and then one of their monsters got out, to take over and whatnot. And then Zox, the Sixth Ranger, essentially became king because he wanted all the. I'm not going to pronounce the food name because it's too long, and I don't. Not going to try. But he basically became king. Like everyone gives him the food and whatnot. I guess they only like one kind of food. I guess that's what it's whatever. It's just the world monster made them do that, and so, they, Kaito and them, get back in the shop, and they see him making, the whatever special food it is, and they're like, hey, like we want some, and then Majin ends up eating some, and they get mad because like, hey, like no one's supposed to have any. So then these, I guess soldiers, I guess, come try to take it. They try to, take Majin away, but then the whole group just kind of runs out the door. And that's when we see Zox, he's coming down to get all his food and whatnot for the day. And so what happens is the monster pops up, the main 5 core, like, hey, like we'll beat them. We'll just take care of this. And so Zox is in the way. They retreat. I don't have any water for this, Donnie. I'm not stopping. I'm gonna die. So they retreat. Then think of a plan, devise a plan, go back in there. They realize, we find out the plan is they divide and conquer, and so they basically try to start an uprising, or not an uprising, but to get the approval of Zox as king, down low. So they kind of go around to different worlds, grab the special food, take it back, give it as like an underground thing, like a black market type of thing. Get whatever the red machine is, I don't remember his name, gets caught by Zox. They get into a fight. Rest of the other 4 machines show up. They're all kind of holding Zox and Flint. That's what it was. Flint. Zox and Flint off. Kaito sneaks onto the ship. And maybe because I haven't seen the show in 2 years, but I forgot that Dad was the whatever that the Zenkai killer. What was, I forget what it was called. Whatever, he was like the side Sentai character. And so he got brainwashed. So he's Kite doesn't want to fight him, so Stacy's there. They recruited Stacy earlier on, to kind of help him too with this plan. And so Kaito finds the monster hidden in a location. And just as he's about to attack, we get a zoom up of his face, and then we switch over to the DonBrothers side. And this I like the show, and this kind of feels disrespectful in a way to them, to what they've built. And I'm sure they had some input for the characters, but this feels like it wasn't like, hey, like let's just throw the DonBrothers in here as completely different. Because what happens is, so Sixth Ranger obviously took over. We knew that at the end of the series here. He's become like annoying. He's come up with formations, and they fight the the ninja guy who keeps returning. He's still coming back for more. So they fight him off and whatnot, and everyone just kind of slumped, and they're they don't really like that Sixth Ranger took over. They don't feel like themselves, but they go off to their new jobs and new activities. And God, I keep thinking about the end, and I don't like it. I don't like what happens at the end, but we'll get to there. So, Pink is now the president of his company. Black and the Cerebral and White run a sweet shop, I guess you call it, like for sweets. Blue has his own school, which he didn't pay for. He got the Sixth Ranger to pay for it. And then Yellow is just she's still doing her manga thing, being popular there. So, and then what's his name? One of the Sonai, whatever, not Sonai, whatever the brown Cerebrian is called, is there's the editor for Yellow too. And then we find out that Sonai is he took over the little food stand. I forget what the food was called, but took over the stand after the old man passed. So then Sonai, we find that out a little bit later, because what happens is this is literally, like, I'm gonna explain it as the movie as it unfolds in the movie. So Kaito gets this house a year after this takes place, a year after Toro lost his memory and whatever. He leaves his house unlocked. He somehow is able to make sure the door cracks at the exact moment that Toro shows up to knock on the door. And when I guess Toro's standing, he brings the doorbell. It's just standing there, and the door like slowly opens. Again, he must have bought this house. In there is a sign that says, Toro, eat this. And so before he can do anything, I think it was like the onion. I think it was the onion. Hologram Kaito pops up and says, "Hey, glad you got your memory back. Let's get to work here. Here we go. Oh, by the way, the soup's gonna explode," and it just kind of imploded. It just kind of disappeared in the bowl. And so it takes a second for Toro to be like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." So that's my so Kaito could have. Kaito knew it would only last a year. He didn't tell anyone. We never knew this in the show. We knew he lost his memories, but it's I don't believe it was explicitly stated, hey, it's only a year. You'll have to survive without him for a year. Just nothing like that. So in the movie, it's been, again, 1 year. Kaito set up this whole elaborate thing in a house that he must have bought. And Toro, again, just like, oh, yeah. Okay. It's God. So I'm gonna speed through this, and we'll get to the team up here. I'm gonna speed through it. So he goes through to every single member, not Sword Branch, just the core DonBrother members, and says, "Hey, like, how do you feel, about DonBrothers so far?" They're like, "Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that." And so it all cuts away. And so that's when he goes. Doro goes to the food stand with where Sonai is. And we find out that Sonai had a fight with was it Jiro? I think it's Jiro. Sixth Ranger. They got into a fight. Sonai lost, so he's like, hey, I'm not gonna be a part of this. He leaves, and so everyone else is kind of like just bummed, and they just don't really want to they don't care. They don't really respect their new leader. And so what happens is they all end up just quitting. And now, okay, there was a really weird scene at the start of this. So with the Zenkaiger Kaito. So as they're all leaving the shop to kind of run away from the soldiers and whatnot, somehow Kaito got behind everyone, and he like telepathically saw their universe, saw them sitting at the table. And my first impression when I first saw that scene was, oh, okay, they're referencing this is the end of the series, so they're probably going to say like, hey, this was before the DonBrothers part. I was thinking they're somehow going to fit this into right before DonBrothers ends and the end of DonBrothers, and then you can say, hey, Toro still got his he still lost his memory or whatever. But we come to find out it's just a shot of later on in the movie of them just all sitting in and when they're going to quit. And so I kind of wish it was rather them, one of those, because there were so many shots in those final 5 episodes, so many shots of them just sitting in that cafe, all together with the Cerebrians and whatnot. I kind of, was hoping they would reference that. Instead, it's just like, okay, here's a scene later in the movie. Kaito kind of spots Toro, then he steps out. He reads the signs are different, obviously, because different world and whatnot. And then he runs, he runs off, with the team again. And that's when they go fight Sox. Nothing's ever mentioned again about that. And I get it. It's to set up like, hey, DonBrothers is going to be, the second section here. I don't know why that was needed. I really don't know why that was needed. There was so much missed potential. You had both Kaitos meet for the first time. So much missed potential in this episode, in this movie here. So anyway, they're sitting in the cafe. They all quit. They all leave, and they go hang out in a park, kind of sitting around, just talking like, hey, is this what we really want to do? And that's when the ninja guy shows up again. He's got an Optimus Prime suit. So Optimus Prime is now canon in Sentai. And so he chases them away. And Toro shows up and says, hey, you guys go live your lives. Toro gets defeated. He gets killed for real. He actually dies for real. And so they hold a funeral for him, and they all kind of snap out of hey, we got to go avenge this dude here. He's done so much for us. Let's go avenge him. So they get their glasses back from Kaito. They go off to fight. And then Sonai, and this comes in at the end of the movie too. Sonai comes in, and basically what revived him in the series, he puts it into Toro's casket and says, and the water, whatever, I forget what it was called, not living water, I forget what it was called, but basically it just helps him, you can come back to life. So, and I guess it kind of sticks in your body. So Sonai doesn't have it in his body anymore. So again, something's going to happen to him at the end of the movie. We'll talk about that at the end. So they go off to fight, the new form from the ninja guy. And that's when the crossover section starts. And the way they explain this is the monster runs through, those dimensional doors or whatever, pops up in, a normal gravel field, wherever place that Sentai fight. And then that's where the Zenkaigers pop in, and they're fighting Zox there too. And so they ignore their monster and they look over like, what the heck are you? And then they see them and they're like, oh, okay, so we'll just help you guys. They completely ignored their problem to go help out these guys. And so Toro, or they're looking around for, Kaito, who's up again. He's up in the ship. He's fighting the world monster. And so Toro's like, I got this. Makes the dimensional door, goes up there, grabs the monster, pulls him through. Kaito comes through too, and then you get the team up fight. They did something different here, and I kind of liked it. I guess it doesn't help too much because they kind of skipped the like the whole fighting intro for everyone, and then they did the whole team intro, but they had all was it I think it's like 16 people on screen or whatever, you know, all their little sections on the screen of them, you know, saying their catchphrases and whatnot. And Monster's like, hey, why are you all talking at the same time? So then they go on, they do their, you know, normal team up entrances they both do. But I kind of liked it. It was kind of different of like not just kind of standing there, you know, for 3-4 minutes just doing their intros. They kind of just get it out of the way and they're just off to the races to fight, you know, side by side. They get beat up by a combined attack, which the monsters like switch hands and switch weapons and whatnot. And so they kind of, you know, do like a team up thing. So then Kaito from the DonBrothers universe shows, and this, oh God, this is where this is a huge missed opportunity here. So Kaito from the DonBrothers universe shows up, saves everyone, steps up in front of everyone, and just goes, "I'm just an eternal hero," and then walks off to the side of the battlefield where Flint is standing watching too. And the only thing he does is so again that's you know right before they do you know their whole get back up and you know do their themes and whatnot. And so you know they do that. Kaito shows up. They do that, and then Kaito's just like, oh yeah, here's a versus key, and not a key, versus gear. Gives it to Toro. Toro uses it. Kaito from the Zenkai universe just going, hey, I want that power too, and the sword just magically appears for him too. So they both have two swords, get their new suits, you know, team up attack and the monster, and just kind of disappear back to their own worlds with nothing really happening. I don't know. It was weird. It was honestly a boring fight because again, they didn't really need the power-ups. Well, I guess they kind of did. But Toro didn't use gold mode. Kaito didn't use his this is not the Z-Rex. Is it the Z-Rex? I don't remember if it's a Z-Rex. Whatever, the Dragon or Z-Rex power. He didn't use that. Zox didn't use his power-up either. You know, no one used their power-ups except for the, you know, again, obviously brand new power-up. But so they really didn't need no power-up because they have their own. But they have underutilized gold mode so much in this series. After they spammed Kaito and Zox's power-up, they spammed that in Zenkaigers. They were like, yeah, we don't want to do gold mode for Toro. Like, we're good. We're completely fine. We're just gonna push it off the side. Did it even happen? I don't even think it happened. If they're just shoving it into a closet, you know, never to be seen again. So again, it just, you know, didn't really need that. Could have had a Kaito and Kaito team up. Still hoping maybe for a special. Probably not gonna happen. Obviously, again, it's, you know, it's just the same character. He's, you know, he's playing, but figure something out. They can do something. So then, you know, Zenkai. Well, I don't think the Zenkai just really had a part at the end here. Well, I get they kind of did, but they focus more so on the DonBrothers. So basically, Zenkai just go back. You know, they enjoy a meal from Sushi World. And they're like, hey, we're gonna go on a world tour and, you know, have Zox apologize to everyone. You know, and so then we get over to the DonBrothers and they're all kind of, you know, going back to their old lifestyle. It's so dumb. So Black and the Cerebral White decide we want to be fugitives again. We're happier on the run. I don't, that I didn't understand. Then Blue is just like, yeah, you know what? Screw the school. I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna do my own thing. Which he could have kept the school and just taught haikus. He, you know, through the whole his arc in this movie was, hey, like I stopped doing haikus. You know, where I'm just teaching everybody instead. Teach haikus. Well, I guess Pink. He's like, hey, you know what? No, he quits. He quits the president job. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I can't be which makes no sense because you can just tell them, hey, I have to protect the world too. So if I'm not here, someone else can step in for me while I'm not here. But I'll have final say and everything. But he's just like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want a job where I'm making billions. Well, maybe not millions. He's making millions. We'll say that. I don't want that. I don't want to make the money and be a superhero and have fun. I don't want to do both. I want to only be a superhero and not make money. Because again, this isn't like they don't make money. Like they don't. It's just and then obviously Yellow is just like, hey, I'm still a manga artist. So not 4, 3 out of 5. Because Toro still has his job of delivering and whatnot. So 3 out of 5 revert back. And I just think it's the stupidest thing ever. And I get it. The point is, hey, we weren't, happy. But they weren't happy following the rules of the Sixth Ranger, who he himself became an idiot and he got consumed with power. But his arc doesn't even wrap up here because he just kind of is there. Like there's a scene in the fight where it's just like, I'm mad. No, you're mad. No, I'm madder than you. Blah, 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 blah. Toro's like, I'm the only one that can be mad right now and it doesn't wrap anything up. Well, I guess he's in the hospital. So, it's not Rumi, but he sees, a real person, instead of Rumi, who, same actor for that. But he's in the hospital getting treated. But it's just, the Sixth Ranger, I don't feel like he should have been, but I guess you can say he just, he's after being, hypnotized and whatever, then he got consumed with power because he wanted to, but why are you happier as a fugitive when you could just do like run marathons or something? I don't know. Like, why would you quit the school when you can just teach a haiku class? And I don't know. Maybe he didn't fully quit. Maybe he does. But it made it seem like he was. Why would you quit being a president when you don't have to answer to anyone? You can just be like, hey, I'm a hero. I'm going to go save the world. This person's in charge till I get back, but I have final say on everything. But I'm going to go save the world because, without a world, we don't have this job. So I don't understand why, like the 3 characters just reverted back and just I hate it. This movie just kind of, it didn't wrap anything up. The dumb thing is I was hoping for like a Don Clan movie. I was hoping that we'd focus on that because there's so much we could explore there, so much untapped potential for that. And it's brought up in the series, but it's never explained, never like, let's go back to it. And I guess, I get it's like, hey, it's probably destroyed and whatnot, yada, yada, yada. But, maybe start a new one. And I guess, that's what kind of DonBrothers are in a sense. But I mean, like, take aspects of, like, the actual show and do a movie on that instead of, oh, we're just going to have a bunch of the characters change. Toro randomly gets his memory back because why not? And yeah, I just... I have more critiques for DonBrothers because obviously I reviewed that series. I enjoy it's probably a top 5 Sentai for me. Like I enjoyed it the heck out of it. I know not everyone did, but I enjoyed it. So I'm critiquing it harder just because I feel like I really went in depth with that show, especially getting to be able to break stuff down and get feedback from people versus Zenkaiger. I just kind of watched it and just it's like, okay, it's okay. It's an average show, average season. I wasn't too impressed with it personally, so it just kind of, it is what it is. If that's their story wrap, but even their story's not, well, I guess it is kind of wrapped up but yeah, like there's just so much more they could have done. I don't. On a side note, I really liked when they used to have the next season appear in the movie. you know, you had a team up movie, but then you had, you know, a short scene of, you know, whether it be at the end of the movie or the middle of the movie or whatever. You know, I enjoyed where it's like, oh, here's the next upcoming team, because obviously these movies are set like around the start of like the first episode of the new season, or not set. You know, they're pushed out into theaters around the first time in the new episode. So it would have been kind of nice to kind of see that like they continue that. Now I don't know every special that's out, so maybe they kind of did a special with that. I don't know. But you know, they didn't have anything in this movie at all, unless they just had like, you know, no, because it would have, well, I guess, how do you fit kid? But you can just literally do anything. Like, it doesn't have to make sense for their story. Like, obviously, like Gokaiger, they kind of, you know, implemented it. Like, hey, like here we are in, you know, the team up. This is, you know, what's happening, because they mention it, and it was like in the 30s or the 40s they mentioned like the crossover. What was it? I think it was it Shinkenger and Goseiger? Was that? I think that's the one they mentioned. Point is, you know, there's nothing like that in this movie for, you know, King Oger, excuse me. Which, by the way, I mean, I stopped, you know, doing reviews for King Oger, and it's gotten decently good. I want to do a video eventually talking about Geats, because I love Keiwa. Keiwa's my favorite character in Geats. And I love the arc. And it seems like not a lot of people, you know, understand the arc. So I want to do something about that. But, you know, that's for another time. So, 26 and a half minutes into this, you know, it was an average movie, you know, not a lot happened. Again, reversion. Like, well, I don't know if reversion is a word, but you know, it reverted things back to, you know, like, it didn't need to do that, back to when it just like was like, okay, whatever. And I don't feel, I get it. I get the message it's sending, but why would you want to be a fugitive on the run? Who wants to do that? Like, obviously you get roped into things and whatever, and he kind of got roped into it. But just willingly just going, yeah, we're going to put up posters of ourselves. Here we go. I'm going to quit my job as president to, you know, be demoted way down, so I have more free time to be a superhero. I'm going to not teach a school, even though I could teach them about, you know, teach them self-defense and teach them haikus and do all this other crap. And nope, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to wrap up here. Just again, if you want to see this, you know, it's turn your mind off and just enjoy the movie. Just forget the ending of both shows. If you really like Zenkaigers, forget that. Well, that ties in. It's easier to tie it in more, because it's like, hey, we're dimension hopping so much, so now we're finally going back home. So, like, you know, they kind of set it up that way. But just kind of turn your brain off for DonBrothers. Ignore how stupid it is, how Toro just gets his, you know, his mind back, essentially. Ignore the ending when they just, you know, revert. You know, just turn your mind off. Just enjoy, you know, new suits. You know, enjoy the team up, and that's what you got to do for this. So, that being said, thank you for watching. This is, well, I mean, again, I might do like talk about Geats. So, but this is like the last probably cent, I think, because I'm not, you know, not Tokucher. King Oger's not really, I don't know why I said Tokucher. King Oger's not, you know, wasn't really boosting, you know, going off reviews and whatever, not really working. So, you know, not really going to cover King Oger, you know, individually. Maybe I'll do a season recap at the end. I don't know. But, you know, this is kind of it. I wanted to, I promised I was going to do this. Show ended in February. So, you know, July. I think I said June or July is when the review would come out. Hey, here we are. So yeah, so this is it. Kind of wraps a bow, not really, but whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Like, subscribe, and share. You know the drill. And again, look forward. I'll eventually do something on Geats. Maybe I'll talk about King Oger, because I love Gear. I think Gear is just a fun character all around. So maybe eventually I'll do something on King Oger. But for now, and for the foreseeable future, this is the end of DonBrothers. Officially. unless it's a special. And I'm out of here. Peace.